Let's see how this turns out today. We're a little bit more prepared. What is happening, party people? It is your boy Coach Sean. Sending data here. Hopefully y'all can hear me. We are now about to test it really quickly. Let's see how this turns out today. We're a little bit more prepared. There we go. What is happening? Yeah, it's the sound is alive and well. It is. I love it. Okay, your boy Coach Sean. Nice. All right, so this whole restream deal, I'm for. Hopefully y'all can hear me. We This whole restream deal, I am for. What is happening, party people? It is so good to see you. Whether you are on Instagram, you are on YouTube, and we're about to go live over on TikTok. My fault, I got um yeah. Nice. Nice, nice, nice. I'm just checking everything, man. I'm just checking everything. I'm checking everything. All right. Feeling pretty good. What's happening, party people? It's your boy, Coach Sean. And if you're new here, I am a faith based relationship coach here to help you build healthier, happier, and whole relationships with yourself, with God, and with others. Because without the first two, relationships with others is just simply, well, needless to put it, unbearable to actually navigate through. And this is all here to help you do those things while building security that lasts beyond marriage. And I am really, really excited for just an opportunity to get some more Q&A with you guys. I was going to have a plan on talking about dating apps. I think I can take the time to do that today, alongside other things. I want to give y'all just some perspectives on to consider. So many of y'all are in the dating space, whether you're ready for it or not. And I definitely want to give you some thoughts and some insights on maybe how to navigate them in a variety of ways. And so you might hear some perspectives and thoughts that you're not used to. I want you to keep your heart open as we just navigate it together. Okay. So appreciate everybody jumping on for this brief stream. I'm here for a good time, not a long time. I do have a call that I have to get to with a client here within the hour, within the next hour, 7 minutes to be exact. So, you know, we're going to make the most of this. All right. Got about 45 minutes. Ask your questions, drop them in the comment section below. Whether you're on YouTube, Instagram, or TikTok, and let's have some good conversation. Um, just to go ahead and set some guidelines for our time in our stream today. This is probably one of the safest lives you're going to walk into all day. All right. And so we're going to keep it that way. So, of course, if there's any moment that you see someone saying distasteful, rude, disrespectful things, do me a favor and throw up some eye emojis and flood the chat with them so I'm able to see it and we can get that joker up out of here. All right. Because this is a safe space. You know, you can say whatever. Well, it's not that you can say whatever you want to me, but I don't mind it. I can take it. But you're not going to do that to people who are possibly coming up, asking questions, and all the things. Okay. And so be sure to keep your thoughts respectful as we're supporting one another in this journey. And I got some resources for you guys. Okay. For those of you who are joining this live, I know it's a little impromptu, but those of you who are joining this live, I have a discount booking that I want to give you just as appreciation for you being a part of this live. And it lasts for the rest of June. All right. So do me a favor and just send me a message with the code word um, heal. Code word heal. And we will get you that discount session. It is a booking Calendly, 50% off for you to get a session for this month. Okay. So you want to be sure to take advantage of that. That is my gift to you. Also, I have a free relational diagnostic and a free attachment style quiz that you can take in my bio. Okay. If you just go and tap that link and follow those next steps, you can do just that. So you can figure out what the heck is going on with your love life and relationships, why maybe they aren't panning out the way that you hope for them to, and what to do about it. All right. Really, really big, important things. Um, got content on the way per usual. Check out my page if you're new and all the things, and we'll go from there. Okay. Um, I want to talk about dating apps for a second, okay? As you guys have questions, shout out to TikTok in the building. I'm also streaming on YouTube, Instagram, all the things. So got a lot of cameras and things going on. All right, so bear with me. But I do want to talk a little bit about dating apps. A lot of stigma around it, a lot of beliefs around it, and yet a lot of people using them. And so we're going to unpack that and maybe a little bit of how to navigate them. But as you throw questions in the chat, I do want to make time for that. All right. For those of you who are on TikTok specifically, if you would like to call up to ask your questions, spend a few minutes asking, I'll spend a few minutes answering, hit that pink and blue silhouette, and get in line. All right. Again, I'm not here forever, as I do have a client call to get to, but I do want to be able to spend some time with you guys and connect. All right. So with all the pleasantries out the way, let's talk about it. So I want to break the ice this way. Your boy has been on dating apps. Okay. I have been on dating apps. I've traveled in that direction. There's a lot of different thoughts on them. Between people saying it's dirt, disgusting, it's awful, don't do it. You're putting yourself on a clearance rack, all those kind of things too. People actually experiencing relationships, getting into long term connections, finding the person that they ended up marrying on the dating apps. And there's such a big gap in between there that I think is worth just unpacking. And I think the first thing to maybe talk about a little bit is the nuances of dating apps, right? This is just getting a little bit of insight on how I use them, not just in the past, but even as I've, talking to clients and actually leading the way in some of these things, actually like getting back on them. Okay. I want to talk a little bit about what that looks like, what that journey looks like. And like, not to necessarily say you should or shouldn't, but some different perspectives that are worth considering. Okay. Number one, I want to answer maybe the biggest glaring question. Are dating apps the problem? Right? Are dating apps the problem to dating today? Is it really what's making dating unbearable? So on and so forth. Is it part of the pissy waters in the dating pool? And this is my first initial perspective on it, is that it's not necessarily the dating app that's the problem in and of itself. It's the people that make up the population of dating apps. Okay. And again, this might be some unique perspectives, but I do want you to consider them. All right. For some of you, because here's the thing, I also recognize too, before I give this thought perspective, there are some of you who claim you're ready for relationships and claim that you want a romantic relationship, but yet you don't go out. You don't go out your house outside of work, and maybe church, and you don't put yourself in environments to be seen. What's up, Ash? Thank you so much for the daily heart me. I appreciate your time. And so, for that matter, all right, if we're going to say that we want to date and we want to engage in dating, we can't have our cake and eat it too, right? You can't say that that's something you want and then not put yourself in places to intentionally be seen. Now, I'm not telling you to go out and be crazy, all right, and just go buck wild and be for the streets. What I am telling you is that you have to be able to put yourself in position to do more than just, pray that God delivers you a spouse. And then the only places you go is work and church, because your church demographic don't got a whole lot of options, and work is work. So you really probably not focusing too much on who you can be with in a work setting. Okay. I also recognize too, that with a lot of the dating scenes, and as I've shared before in previous content, it's not so much about the dating pool itself, it's the beliefs or limiting beliefs you carry that present a challenge in the dating space. We're going to get to that later and why that matters in this conversation. But I just want to give you a heads up that a lot of this is going to only make the most sense if you apply it. Like if you actually give it a legitimate try and not allow the general consensus of what people's perception of dating apps are to be what influences you to make some type of decision that maybe goes against what you're willing to give a try, even if it's something new and something you've never done in this regard. Okay. Because, like I said, there's a lot of people that have different thoughts. There's people I respect, man, and I got a lot of love for. I think are very wise and helpful people in this space of healing and doing relationships and all the things. And I disagree with some of their takes on dating apps. That's not to say that they're wrong. I get where they're coming from. And I respect anybody's decision who's like, yeah, nah, dating apps just ain't for me. Like, I'm not going out there. I love it. Okay. I've carried that perspective myself. I think what shifted for me was, I guess, being in a position of trying to lead other people to basically see that, hey, it's not as bad as you think. And I'm not completely against finding somebody on there, while also recognizing too that I'm probably one of those people. Like I go to the gym, all right. Um, I'm in a local church community. Uh, you know, I I don't do a whole lot outside of work, outside of work in the gym. And so this is something that allows me to put myself out there to meet people and just go out and connect, right? But I definitely have a little bit of a different lighthearted view than maybe most people. Okay. So let me get back to the main point of the first question, right? This is why I don't believe that dating apps are actually the problem, right? Because dating apps were initially created, at least as I'm thinking of it from the minds of those who developed them. Dating apps were initially created, obviously, with the intent to help people connect more. Okay. To connect more often, all the things. And of course, with that comes different accounts, different people who are trying their hardest to maybe rebuild connections, have more connections, new connections, and all the things. And I do think in today's culture, the way that social media advances, the way that the availability to connect grows and intensifies, it is an option. Like it is a legitimate option to get on a dating app and meet somebody, to get on a dating app and be curious about building conversation with somebody that, yes, from a very limited view and distance, has a profile, has all these descriptions, and no, I still don't know you. Very true. But it does open the door. Open the door to conversation, open the door to connection, open the door to possibility. Okay. I think that's the first step. Now, what the intentions were behind dating apps and then what they've turned into are two completely different conversations. They were intentionally created for people to be more active in the dating space. Okay. Now we are able to be in the comfort of our own home or in our spaces. We don't have to feel like we got to not only not waste gas, but the amount of time that it would have taken for you without dating apps to meet someone, connect with somebody, to see if there was a potential in the relationship. A lot of money, gas, and effort. Okay. If we're looking just at tangibles, money, gas, and effort put into meeting somebody only for that date, either again, to not show up, to not be exactly who you wanted them to be or need them to be, that aligns with where you are. Okay. You went through that entire process and then boom, it fell through the floor. Right. And by that time, what, a week, 2 weeks have went by. Um, and a lot of gas has been poured into it. Okay. If it wasn't gas, it was money. If it wasn't gas and money, it was whatever. Okay. But all the little tangibles that we look into that we know still requires the same effort if we were to find somebody on an app, but with less information, right? We're going at it with less information. As today, well, you can get on an app and set your settings, all the things, and be very specific with who you're considering, being very specific with who you swipe right on and who you swipe left on. Not to be something that, pours into the extreme of a dopamine addiction. You get a high. Okay. Uh, yes. Hey, I love that, Kayla. I love that. I love that. Low barrier of entry can bring a lot of dusties and crusties. I appreciate you sharing that because that's true. Okay. But here's the thing, dusties and crusties are everywhere, right? Dusties and crusties are everywhere. It is a low barrier of entry. And maybe it's a low barrier of entry because the app is free. Upgrading accounts for some people is cheap. It's pretty easy. But if we really sit and think about it, Dusties and Crusties are everywhere. Like we're not going to in the process of finding the right person, right? We are not going to move around the reality of Dusties and Crusties on every block. You know what I mean? So like even though it's a low barrier of entry, it's the same type of level that we're gonna have to deal with if we excluded dating apps and we just said, I just want to meet somebody naturally. I want to meet somebody at a grocery store. I want to meet somebody at the mall, at work. I want to meet somebody here and there. It's like, yeah, the chances of you meeting that same level of a dusty crusty is there too, right? I guess if you wanted to look at it, the volume might be a little lower in the sense of how much is in front of you at once, but that doesn't eliminate the fact of dusty crusties, right? So I appreciate that, and I think that's where a lot. I think that's a sentiment a lot of people share, and that's typically my response to that, right? And so with a low barrier of entry, okay, there's not a lot of investment put into place. You can just swipe left, swipe right all the time. People aren't as intentional, okay? People aren't as serious. There's a lot of ghost accounts. There's a lot of silent accounts, non-active accounts. How do we navigate it? This is the bigger point why I say dating apps really are dating apps really the bigger issue, and I say no, it's really the people in them, is because what really we're saying is for some people, I don't know if I have what it takes to discern or be patient enough to discern who's in front of me and who's a valid option. Okay, that's one aspect. I don't really know if I have what it takes to be patient enough to be able to discern who makes sense and who doesn't. Who should I give a try and who I shouldn't? Who should I swipe right on? Who should I swipe left on? Whose conversation should I carry outside the app and who should I just leave there? Right? How to say no, how to be okay with saying no and not carrying a different shameful view of myself because I said I'm not interested. I didn't entertain the conversation. Okay. Um, I think a lot of people in these spaces, especially when it comes to dating apps and navigating through them, are more concerned about how they'll be perceived than what's actually out there. Okay. Some people are challenged, at least, and I'm just talking to you from my work. Okay. So I'm not going to use generalized terminology. I'm just telling you the information I've gathered from the work I'm doing. Okay. My boots on the ground, clients I sit in front of who are challenged by the dating scene and who are further challenged by certain perspectives that we might have conversations on in this space. Okay. There's a lot of people who feel like, yo, if I pay for a dating app, I'm desperate, right? If I pay for a dating app, then that makes me look like I'm putting myself on a clearance rack and I don't value myself enough. Okay. I'm just taking whatever comes my way. It's my last resort. And if we were to sit down and just be so super descriptive on who told you that, where that comes from, a lot of you would probably say it was a video you saw. It was a TikTok you heard. It was a perspective that a family member shared. It possibly came from a group of people whose relationships, if you're being honest, probably don't look how you want your relationships to look, right? And if we're being honest, the source isn't necessarily credible. Now, there are some people, again, like I've said before, people I very much respect who have their own opinions on dating apps. And I think it makes sense. And they do have relationships that are healthy. And they are healthy people. But I'm saying this is something that gives us an opportunity to see it from both sides and make a decision that fits most or best for you. Okay. But a majority of people, if I'm talking about the circle, if that's just the circle I'm in, that's not the circle a lot of y'all are in. The circle a lot of y'all are in are dealing with people who have been single all their life chronically and are painfully single. They are not enjoying that and are quick to tell you not to do, not to have, not to go, not to create. And I just think that's something worth considering. If I look at your relationships and I look at your life, can I genuinely honestly say that that's something I want for my life and my relationships? And if not, maybe I should be cautious with some of the advice you give because I don't really know if that's a life I really want to live or if that's a kind of relationship I want to reflect. Okay. For some people, it's not necessarily so much that, hey, if I buy into a dating app or upgrade or I buy the premium account, that I'm just desperate. But there's also a belief that, I mean, I think we kind of covered it earlier, the low barrier of entry, but also the question, at least for a lot of believers, like, am I forcing it? Like, am I forcing it? Am I chasing? Is this something that God would want from me? Is the spouse that I'm supposed to have, the person that I'm supposed to do life with, isn't God supposed to orchestrate that? I don't feel like if I join a dating app that God is actually orchestrating it. It's more so me. And because I'm doing it and I'm creating it, then I'm actually in my own way. Okay. And I think there's something worth investigating into that perspective. All right. For some people, there is not just the faith filled perspective. Okay. Am I going in God's steps? Is this making sense? Am I looking desperate? Okay. I don't want to be perceived as somebody for the streets. The idea of going on, 3 to 5 dates in a week is out of bounds for me, right? Like, I can't even imagine myself going on a date with a new person for every day of the week because it just makes me feel, insert the description, makes me feel shameful, lonely. It makes me feel nasty. It makes me feel like I'm out here just giving it up to everybody. Even though that might not be what you say, it's a feeling that's present, right? And I think there's room to unpack that too. And I'm not gonna be able to cover it all today. This might be a little bit of a series, but I just want to introduce some of these conversations and perspectives to y'all. Okay. Um, and you'll probably see a little bit more content on taking polls. So be sure to follow. Okay, because I do want to hear your thoughts on your experiences with dating apps. Have you tried dating apps? Are you interested in dating apps? Are you done giving dating apps a try because of your experiences? Right? If not, why? If so, why? Right? I want to definitely talk about that. I want to hear you guys' thoughts on it. So be sure to follow and stay tuned because we're going to talk about it all because there's dating apps for everybody nowadays, right? Christians, dating apps for certain venues and sectors of dating, if it's just hookups and all those other kind of things. Okay. Obviously, we're not trying to get into that, more so doing it intentionally. But what does doing it intentionally look like? Right. And how to build on that. So just stay tuned. These are just beginning conversations. I'm not going to be able to get into it all. All right. Um, but then the second perspective, all right, is dating apps really the problem? So we kind of covered the beginning of the purposes of dating apps, okay, and all those things. We're gonna transition into two more points. Okay. Oh, Lucy, that's good. Okay, that's good. We're gonna pin that. Um, we're gonna pin that. We're gonna come back to these next 2 points. All right. Jamie says, "What do you think about if one person in the relationship has an addiction?" Um, I sound like a broken record when I have these conversations, and that's okay. Because I think that's one of the ways we learn is by hearing things repetitively. I think somebody that has an addiction, first off, are you aware that they have an addiction as you are getting to know them? Okay. I think that's important. Because the sooner send me my link again. What you mean? Link for what? Remind me, Ash. Um, so like, if you are aware of this addiction, oh, I got you. Yeah, yeah, yeah. I got you, Ash. Yeah, yeah. Do you still have Voxer? Do you still have that? I could just send it to you through there. Um, okay, bet. I'll send it to you through there. I got you. So if you're aware of this person's addiction, one, what is it that they're addicted to is I think important. And then two, it always comes down to capacity. Like, what type of capacity do I have? Oh, okay, vaping. All right. So, all right. Well, it always comes down to a level of capacity. Okay. For me, I am somebody, I'm not interested in dating anyone who smokes. So, like, that for me is like a kind of like a non negotiable just because I don't find it attractive. Like, I'm not somebody that like enjoys being around all these other things, right? So I'm not one to zero out a specific behavior and be like, oh yeah, that's just a no go. I think that goes across the board for anything. So if you're aware of somebody's addiction, I mean, you're the only one that can really answer the question of like what type of capacity do you have to to be in this process with this person. Okay. Um, something went wrong. What? Oh, my connection is bad. Reconnection successful. Okay, are we back? Uh-oh, hold up. Oh, I know we're good on TikTok. I think my YouTube is my restream on YouTube is kind of cutting up. Give me 1 second, y'all. All this stuff is new. It's kind of part of the deal. I mean, you're the only one that can really answer the okay, question. YouTube is up. What type of capacity do you have to to be in this process with this person? Okay. Okay. Something went wrong. What is? Oh, my connection is bad. Reconnection successful. Okay. Just because I don't find it attractive. Like I'm not. Okay. No, we're good. All right. Oh, hold up. All right, cool. I just had to make sure everything else was up. Hopefully, YouTube and Instagram is good as well. Instagram is still kind of freezing up. Um, we'll figure it out. OBS still recording, so it's kind of weird. Um, now it reads offline. Oh no. Oh, this is so weird. Okay. Um, and I've never heard you talk about. Yeah. So, yeah, Brian, we're not gonna do that here. Take it easy, my boy. Um, yeah, so I have all these things on my YouTube, so definitely check it out. Um, okay, yeah, my YouTube. I don't know, it's just kind of weird. All right, we'll figure it out. We'll see. Um, yeah, I do. I repost all these things on my YouTube. Just trying different formats so that way the formats can actually fit. So kind of a trial and error week till we figure some things out. Yeah, all these things are reposted on my YouTube. All the handles are the same. Coach Sean Walker. This is where you'll get longer form content and conversations. So be sure to check that out as well. Um, Stream replays. I still got so many streams I have to repost. It's crazy. I'm a little behind, but we'll make it work. So yeah, definitely check it out. I appreciate the compliment too, Ashley. I hope videos are helpful. If they were open to stop, how would you support them and help them? Yeah. So okay. So this, I appreciate you bringing that back. So again, if you're aware, it comes down to the level of capacity of your ability to support this person with where they are and what they're dealing with. I would say, one, someone, the person has to want to do better. Like they legitimately have to make a decision to want to do better. Um, and then you can't really rescue them. You can only support them. And I think the best way to support them is to ask, how can I best support you? And that's only if they want to though. Like if they have no desire to do that, then like there's nothing you can do. And at that point, it's kind of a conversation where you have to ask yourself, as you're in the early stages of getting to know someone, if it's someone you're dating, and if it's something that you feel is like a little bit of a struggle for yourself, like I don't think I don't think I could deal with that. That's just a personal thing. And it's not necessarily saying this person isn't a great candidate, but like I don't know. Then like you just be honest about that, man, and accept them for as they are and don't try to change them and find somebody who doesn't do those things. Um, but if this is somebody who is saying they want to change and they want to do better, yeah, you just want to be curious with them and ask how can you best help them? Because anything that we're describing as an addiction in the process of healing, not everybody cold turkeys. That's not everybody's story. Sometimes oftentimes it's actually a full on process. It's an ongoing process or somebody is leaving something that they're used to. And part of that is relapsing. Part of that is experiencing moments where they fall back into that behavior. Now, I'm not saying that in the crash course of like someone that claims they have an addiction to cheating or they have an addiction to this, that, and the third, but like as somebody who has had an addiction to corn, replace the C with the P. Okay, that was a part of my testimony and something that I've experienced before. Part of my healing was, having moments where I messed up, having moments where I relapsed. Okay. And because part of growth is mistakes. Part of growth is not like, okay, this is what I did. I see how wrong it was. And now I'm supposed to put this unrealistic standard where I'm like, I'm never doing it again. Cause like you set yourself for failure. You set yourself up for failure when you do that, because that's just not your programming yet. Although that's what we're developing to, and so with anybody who is dealing with um, anybody who's dealing with that, it is very, very much important. Um, it's very, very, very much important to be in a process with them. Okay, and know that part of that process is you know supporting them in their failures and their setbacks, and ultimately them making the decision to walk away fully. And that would be my response. It's definitely something that can be worked with, but that's all dependent on, okay, is this something that you feel you can deal with, that you have the preparedness or readiness or availability to deal with. That's just got to be an honest answer you give, and it can't come with you like attempting to change them. You know, can't move with the with like forcing to change them. They have to want it. Um, and your best way of supporting them is asking them how to best support you, and then show up in those ways. And you guys have a because everybody's support systems look a little different. So I wouldn't necessarily like tell you a full on thing like that. I think it's something that you create between the two of you. Hope that made sense. Appreciate you asking. Great question. Closed closet chapters. Why do some people only reveal important information after a breakup? Like telling me he's been going through something and basically saying if something happens, you know now. So let me make sure I understand your question. Why is it that people only why is it that people reveal certain things after a breakup? Is that what you're essentially asking? Where does that like what are you feeling when you got that? I think that might be more so of what you might be after. Um Sounds like there's more context to that question, closet chapters. So I kind of want to get to the heart of that. Like, what are you feeling as it relates to what you've recently discovered with that? Okay, what are you feeling? What's coming up? Is there like some anxiousness, some fear? And after this question, we're gonna wrap up um, our conversation on dating apps. I got a couple more points I want to bring to y'all's attention just to set the stage for some for future conversations we'll be talking about. So yeah, I'm just curious for you, closet. Like, I feel like he's just trying to keep in contact, but it's so hard because we've been in contact after the breakup. Okay, so he told you something, right? So he told you something, um, that was only disclosed after the breakup. So it was something you weren't privy to know during the relationship. Um, if something happens, you know. Well, I mean, share as much as you're comfortable sharing. Was that in reference to anything like serious, like when it comes to because he can't say it on the phone? Yeah, I don't know. So I mean, I'm kind of just as confused as you are on the matter. I would start here, right? So listen, people have their reservations and reasonings for why they decide to end relationships, whether it's because of something they're afraid of, or they can't handle, they're not ready for, or they no longer want. Um, but here's the thing: when it comes to engaging in the aftermath of relationships and breakups, if somebody were to tell me something that was going on that led them to make the decision to break up that I wasn't privy of knowing during the relationship, it's still something that I can't control, right? No matter how much I would still want them and still would want the relationship, they made their decision, right? They made their decision. And because they made their decision, it is not up to me to control the outcome of that decision. I can only control what I can control. And what I can control is now who I give access to what degree do you still have access to me, and doing the grieving work to move on from the relationship. I'm not too sure if the meaning, if the not to say there's an appropriate meaning to put here. I just think we should be mindful of the meanings we're giving to it. Because I mean, I don't know if he's stringing you along. I don't know if there's something seriously there. Um, but I do know one thing I do know is that that's not your problem, and because that's not your problem, don't make it your problem. Don't make it your business. Don't make it something you want to go on a Scooby Doo hunt to figure out, to put the puzzle pieces together, um, or to give yourself a rhyme and reason to stay or reconnect. They made their decision. I'm assuming this is the person that broke it off with you. They made their decision, and that's a decision that they need to live with. And I think this is something that gives you an opportunity to restructure. Okay, one, you broke up with him. Okay, okay. Well, um, why did you break up with him? Because I think that adds even more layers to like, it's really not, maybe this isn't something that really concerns me fully. I just think if we're making a decision to break up with somebody, remembering why we're doing that over and over again, he couldn't do the bare minimum. Okay. All right. So check it, right? Whatever he's bringing to your attention as a means to whether that stay connected or try to get you to see and understand so you can take him back, whatever the reason is, like, that's not, I don't think that has to be something that you concern yourself with. And the decision you made is the decision you made. And if that's a place where you are feeling okay, like, hey, I'm at peace with the decision. It doesn't mean it felt good. It just means maybe it was a decision that was needed to be made. Then stick to that and restructure the level of access this person has to you as it relates to moving on and moving forward. Because with any breakup, I'm not saying it's impossible. Um, uh, because he is all we need to end it in good terms. Yeah, I think we're making it harder than it has to be. Yeah, yeah, closet. Yeah, so I think what you're saying is hard is only hard because that's where it's comfortable, not because it actually is hard. It's not as hard as we're making it. It just comes down to a decision. A good friend of mine, Dr. Elijah Frazier, says often that a problem with the solution is a choice. And most of us don't have the problems we say we have. We just don't like the solutions that are in front of us that we need to take to alleviate the problem. I definitely don't think ghosting is the answer, but I would say that what we need to do is walk away from the situation and restructure the access of this relationship, because that sounds like that's an issue with him, not with you, and you made the decision. So stand on that decision if that's a decision you're confident in making, and communicate and say, hey, yeah, so like I said, the relationship is over. Um, I'm not saying you can't talk to him anymore. I'm just saying that the nuances of, okay, so check it, right? So again, because I don't necessarily want to go back and forth on it. It sounds like there's some things that you want to process and you still need to process, and that's cool. Um, but I think with where I'm at and a lot of things that I share to my clients to navigate this, is one, you only can control what you can control, right? So making the decision to end the relationship was a decision you made, and that's cool. I'm not saying you can't talk to him. I'm just saying that there needs to be clear understanding on what this is. And especially depending on how long the relationship has been, sometimes there needs to be some separation and distance, which can mean like, hey, maybe we do need to like not contact each other for some time, and don't put a timetable on it, because, then there's other expectations that don't make sense. But sometimes, in order to, depending on how long the relationship was and all the things, we need to take some time apart so you can actually do some healing work and restructure this relationship in a healthy framework. So that way, there's no sneaky expectations. And so that way, there's no mixed signals. Because breaking up with somebody and then still talking to them every day, fresh off of a relationship breakup or a relationship ending, sends conflating signals. I don't care who you are. It sends conflating signals. So it's like we have to make the decision. And I'm not even saying this in regards to him, right? Like I'm just saying, hey, regardless of what he does, he may text, call, send a message via social media. That doesn't mean you have to respond. And if he doesn't get the message with the boundary set, like, hey, yeah, so like I said, we shouldn't be talking every day. And it's important for us to create some distance as we transition out of this relationship, um, into possibly what could be in the future when it comes to friendship. I'm not saying you say that, but if you want friendship with them, you're just not wanting romantic relationships with them. I still think distance is needed because you have to put yourself in position to be able to show up that way authentically and not just offer friendship as a landing pad so he can feel less hurt from the rejection or the breakup, but because it's something that you actually want. And if that's not what you want, then don't say it. But it's important to create distance and then let the relationship flow as it is. And if that means that he stops talking to you, cool. If that means that y'all have better, healthier relationships and conversation later on, cool. But no, I'm not a. I think distance is something that's important, and instead of trying to get people to just abide by what you're saying, like, nah, man, leave it alone. Leave it alone. I don't know about y'all, man, but I'm not in a position where I'm going back and forth with somebody that I ended a relationship with. Like, I feel like I'm gonna say this. I'm gonna say this lovingly. It's almost like people forget that you pay your own phone bill, as if like you're obligated to respond to a message that is sent to your phone. No. Like there's a world where this person is sending you messages and it really doesn't bother you because you're not obligated to respond. And I think if it happens regularly and it's crossing boundaries that you've set, then I think it is fair to, maybe it is best to block you because at this point it's harassment. Yeah. So if someone says "f you," um, can you actually forgive that? You can forgive that and move on. The question is, one, do you want to? Um, and what does moving on look like? And I also think forgiveness doesn't necessarily mean reconciliation either. I can forgive you for the things that you've said to me. That doesn't mean that I have to now make it my obligation and duty to reconnect with you. Because I do think that can be, you know, telltale signs that, okay, so that when this person's upset and when this person is not, if that's my partner, I think there's a lot of context that's missing to answer your question fully. Um, if this person, if that's my partner and she says that as coming from a place of somebody who is doing healing work, again, there's so much context missing. If that's my wife and we got into a heated argument and that's what she said, I'm not running out and leaving. But I also recognize that there needs to be an important conversation to where we can disagree without being disrespectful to each other. And he felt left out. Yeah. So, okay. Well, one, I think that should be something that informs you that when he gets upset, he feels it's okay to be disrespectful. Now, if that's something that you started and that was what he responded with, then both of y'all need some work. But if that is how he's responding in the midst of conflict, I think that's something you note. And if that's a moment where it's like, bro, I just don't feel safe, like that's not okay with me. You learn a lot about people through conflict, right? You learn a lot about people through conflict. And um, someone who's healthy is not going to allow offense to become an excuse to be disrespectful and distasteful. I may feel offended by what I assumed, what I applied, what I experienced, what I feel in regards to this moment. And that doesn't give me permission to call you out of your name. And that doesn't give me permission to be disrespectful and distasteful. I can forgive you for that and say, but that is unacceptable. And that's something that I don't appreciate, nor do I want in my relationships. Therefore, Deuces. Both things can be true. I do believe I'm at a place in my life where I have a lot of different capacities compared to others, and that's okay. How I would handle it, yeah, okay. You forgave him, but it just didn't feel right, so you walked away. I don't think that's a. I don't think that's a. It's not a matter of right or wrong decisions, closet, right? It's a matter of aligned. If I go to my values and I go to the values that I've created for my life that I want in my relationships, did that relationship reflect those values? If not, then I make the decision off of my aligned values and I move healthily in that direction. And if it just didn't feel right, okay, it didn't feel right. It didn't feel right. And you know, we use this as information and feedback on how to make decisions moving forward with someone that we're dating. If that was me, I don't, like I said, if I'm married and it's a heated conflict argument, I mean, I'm probably not taking that personal. At the same time, though, if this is somebody that I'm dating and in early stages of dating, we have a bad blow up like that and I'm not moving that way, but she feels okay to move that way, we do have to have some serious conversations if it's something we really want to build together. But in the event that it's not, well, I just learned how you handle conflict. That's not a reflection of anything I want in my relationships. So you were dating for 3 months and then, yeah, so, you know, I just feel like there's some context that's missing. Um, I don't know the full story, so I'm giving limited or pieces of response. So I definitely don't want it to be all over the place. But yeah, I just think I think that's something that we want to be honest about and we want to take into inventory. I don't think no matter how mad somebody makes you, it doesn't give you the right to be disrespectful, distasteful, rude, mean, or call someone out of their name, let alone um, put your hands on anyone. Which obviously you didn't say that, but just to make that clear as well. And so I think anytime that you get into conflict, you're going to learn a lot about people, really. This is why we should be careful who we consider the type of titles and frameworks we give to people who we have relationships with. Because if I've never seen you mad, if we've never had a conflict, if we've never had an issue, I really don't know to what extent this relationship actually can be. Because I have yet to see you in moments where you are not a fan of me. How do you deal with me in moments where you don't like me in the moment? How do you deal with me? How do we handle each other? Instead of measuring the success of a relationship based off of what we like and what's our favorite this and favorite that and all the butterflies and the feelings of excitement that we have and heightened moments, how do we deal with each other in moments of discomfort, in moments of sadness, in moments of anger, right? And of course, relationships have to develop that skill, you know. Yeah, I just think there's a so yeah, I was not in a good place. Yeah, I just think there's a lot. Yeah, I think closet, the things that you're bringing up, there's a lot. There's a lot there. There's a lot there. I don't just want to throw out random answers. There's a lot there. Um, you know. So I would love for you to take advantage of my discount. I have a discount going on to 50% off for a session. Send me a message with the code word heal, and I'll get you that discounted session, and we can actually spend some time talking through it. Um, but it just sounds like there's a lot of missing pieces to maybe the context of what you're bringing up, and I think going through those things could be really helpful to get some clarity. But the breakup is there. The breakup happened, um, and I think to deal with anyone in those places, hey, listen. Last time I checked, I paid my phone bill, which means that gives me autonomy to know who has access to me and who don't, who I want to have access to me and who I don't want to have access to me. And if I mean, I've done moments in places where I was in a pursuits. I was in pursuits And even though friendship was offered, I did not engage in that relationship. I know because it wasn't the same. So what I was after wasn't the outcome, and I had to take time to separate from what I wanted to be able to show up as I was requested to show up as a friend in said space. That took time. I'm not a fan of us like, hey, if we break up, then we can just go back to texting every day and staying in contact like nothing's changed. That gives mixed signals. And at some point, we have to be able to separate from what was and give ourselves time to step into what is at some point. When I look back, he didn't even do anything for me like that. Okay. Yeah, it sounds like there's just a lot to consider or process through. Some things that you're still processing through. Seems like the breakup was fresh. Like I said, I would love for you to take advantage of the session. Um, so send me a message with Heal, and I'll get you that Calendly. It's discounted, 50% off. And schedule it so we can unpack it and process it together. And so that's our time. Quick stream. We're gonna come back and clean up a lot of this stuff. The last couple of things that I wanted to say towards dating apps, that I think will be helpful. So the question of, is dating apps part of the problem with dating? All right. The second question is really what is the probability of you finding someone on a dating app? Okay, that's a typical question. How useful are they? I believe Lucy brought up a good point. She felt like she doesn't meet a lot of singles. So there's some people who are pretending to be single and they're in relationships. People who are married who are on dating apps makes things muddy and dirty and dangerous. A lot of people who aren't looking for intentional relationships but are, you know, um, looking for quick hookups. People who say one thing but are actually after another, right? A lot of muddy stuff because we're dealing with a lot of unhealed tendencies and unhealed people in the pool of dating pools, right? Just like you would walk out and you would go out to eat and you would go out somewhere. Okay. Same thing. And so I think there's just a lot of things to process. And these are the things that I want us to think about as we're transitioning into these slate of conversations. Okay. What's the probability? Are dating apps useful? How can we actually intentionally use them if we're going to use them? Okay. What does the process need to look like tangibly and practically for dating apps and for the use of dating apps? Okay. What should it look like? I can give you some thoughts on that. And then I think the biggest question that you probably should ask is, do I need to be on a dating app? And we're going to be able to talk about what are the measuring tools and sticks to use to determine if dating apps or just dating in general is something you should be doing. Because again, what my biggest thing is that not only are beliefs the biggest issue, but not being able to trust ourselves to make healthy decisions in the pool of dating. That's the issue. And so these conversations are going to unlock a lot for us to maybe add some different perspectives on how to navigate dating, how to navigate dating apps. And is it something that really makes sense for you? Because a lot of people are connecting from attachments. A lot of people are connecting from pains, brokenness, breakups, using people as products to get over other people that they are not over. Okay. And if we're actually going to move healed, we want to move in a healthy situation and direction in these spaces. Leilani, I see your comments. Thank you so much for sharing. Sounds like there's been a lot. Okay. Sounds like there's some things that we really need to process. I would love for you to take advantage of the um the discount. Send me a message uh with the keyword heal and let's unpack it. I want to get you my discounted Calendly to book a session and let's unpack it. Sounds like there's a lot going on. I would love to be of service. Just found out my boyfriend of 8 years cheated a few days ago. Throughout the relationship, we got into a fight 2 weeks ago. Stopped talking. At that time, he took girls out on dates, flowers, yeah. And to be quite honest, that's a relationship we should feel okay walking away from. Off rip, off rip. Um, but again, Sounds like there's a lot going on, and I definitely want to be of service to you as you're navigating it. And she might not even be in here. So, um, man, I think it's last thing. I definitely think it's important, man. Stick around. Stick around. Uh, this happens often. I ain't mad at it. Um, but man, I think when you're going through something and you're needing someone to be of helpful thoughts to you in some way to process where you're at, stick around, y'all. Stick around. Stick around. Answers don't come immediately, but it is worth staying for. It hurts so bad because I loved him, but I know I got to move forward. Yeah, no, I get that for sure. It sounds like there's a lot. Yeah. So, like I said, send me a message with the keyword heal. I want to get you my discounted session. That'll be an opportunity for us to really unpack this and then give you something tangibly to process through together. Okay. Because that's a lot. And I do got to get going for a call I have here in like the next 15 minutes. Okay. So, to everybody watching TikTok, Instagram, YouTube, hey, I appreciate you so much, even if you're checking out the replay. Okay. Be sure to check out the links in my bios on my socials. There, you'll actually be able to get a free relational diagnostic and take a free attachment style quiz. Okay, to know your attachment style and how to navigate it moving forward. We got some really, really, really dope conversations ahead of us, centering on dating apps, centering on all things related to the usage of them and dating in general in 2026. Seems to be the most common conversations and questions I'm getting in sessions. And I definitely want to put this stuff in some tangible, measured videos and content for you guys to just keep with you, meditate on, think through as you're navigating these spaces healthily and fluidly. Okay. Um, and if you're interested in joining my secure program, I have a free week trial that's available right now. Just DM me the word secure on my socials, and we can get you started on that process and everything else related to other programs, building healthier, happier, and whole relationships with yourself, with God, and with others while building security that lasts beyond marriage. All right. If you can't do any of that, follow for more as we continue navigating through our healing and doing relationships the right way. We start with doing the healing work on ourselves first. YouTube, hey, hit that subscribe button. Appreciate you a ton. You're in a safe space, and this is going to be an awesome time for us to build and move forward. Instagram, TikTok, you know the deal. Hit the follow button, stick around, and I do plan on coming back tomorrow, streaming as well. Okay, as we continue this conversation, dating apps part 2. Okay, dating and dating apps in 2026 part 2. All right. So, appreciate you guys a ton. And as always, until next time, be easy and be breezy. Peace. All right. Instagram and YouTube. Appreciate y'all. Be easy.